I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Erin Wygant. I work for the San Juan Islands Visitors Bureau. Thank you so much for joining us. This is part of our Savor the San Juans fall celebration. Throughout the month of October, we're highlighting food, farms, and film all throughout the San Juan Islands. We so wish we could be doing these tours with you and these classes with you in person, but we're so grateful that you all have chosen to join us here on Zoom. So without further ado, I would love to introduce our bakers and innkeepers for today. This is Anthony and Crystal Raventi and their head baker, Jackie.
Hi. How are you guys doing?
And of course, Jojo. I forgot to introduce sweet little Jojo, the youngest of the Raventi gang.
She doesn't go unnoticed, so it's fine.
Yes, she will make herself heard. Well, we are visiting the Edenwild on Lopez Island. So we're going to take a quick tour of the inn and get a sense for where we're all virtually baking from with Jackie and the Raventis.
Hi, my name's Jackie and I work at the Edenwild. I'm the baker here and I've worked here for 3 years. The Edenwild is a 10-room inn in the heart of Lopez Village, overlooking Fisherman Bay, where you can just come escape everyday realities and relax. Baking at the inn is a real pleasure. Every morning the guests come down and you get to make whatever you're inspired to make that day. Some of my earliest memories of baking was actually in middle school and high school when I had friends' birthday parties and I was always the one jumping at the opportunity to make the cake. I just absolutely love the science behind baking and just the detail behind it, and I just really love making people happy with sweet treats. Here at the Edenwild, you feel at home and you're just gonna be able to read a book on the porch or sit by the fire and enjoy everything that Lopez has to offer.
Thanks so much for sharing that, Jackie. You have such a unique perspective as the baker. You get to welcome guests when they come downstairs and send them on their way with delicious food for their hike and packing and things. So thank you for sharing that and for sharing with us this amazing pound cake recipe. I'm so excited to get started. Before we begin, I wanted to note that there is a chat box option here in Zoom. So if you have any questions throughout the baking class, feel free to use the chat function. At the end of the meeting, we will have a Q&A where you are welcome to open up your microphones and speak directly with Anthony, Crystal, and Jackie. But for now, we recommend that you use the chat function. So we are going to get started right now and learn the first few steps of baking the Edenwild famous pound cake.
Hi, my name's Jackie and I am the baker at the Edenwild Inn on Lopez Island, and today we're gonna make a really delicious little pound cake in a bundt form. For this recipe, you're gonna need 4 eggs, a cup of butter, which is 2 sticks, a cup of sugar, 2 cups of flour, some salt, and a teaspoon of vanilla. All right, so how we start is we take our butter, put it into the mixer, it gets in there. And we're gonna just start and break up the butter. So it gets a little broken up there. Sometimes it needs help depending on how cold it is in the kitchen. And then we'll add our sugar. Spatula, mix it around a little bit. And this is gonna go for about 5 minutes. Okay, so now I'm gonna add the vanilla, and it's gonna help the butter sort of fluff up a little bit more. And do a little scrape. I'm gonna scrape the bowl down one more time and then I'm gonna start adding the eggs to it. Again, a really important part for the leavening of the cake. Just bring it up. I'm gonna do like low to medium speed and then one egg at a time until it's incorporated. So it looks a little bit clumpy, but that's okay. It'll all come together once the flour is added to the mixture. And then we're just gonna get the sides of the bowl, make sure everything's incorporated. Okay, and for the last mixing bit, put it on low. We're gonna add our salt. And then we're gonna slowly add our flour to the mixture. And another key with this recipe is not over mixing once the flour's in. And that is a really perfect looking batter.
Okay, so I know that went by very fast and I'm still feeling like I'm catching up, but we wanted to make sure that we could all of this into a half hour. So for those of you baking along at home, if you're still needing to take a breather and catch up, no worries, we're gonna pause here and let Jackie tell us a little bit about the recipe and maybe where it came from and why you decided to teach us this recipe today.
Sure. It's just a really basic traditional pound cake that I thought would be really wonderful for a little morning treat. And it's just something fun and easy to make at home. If you're not like really into the baking thing, you want to give it a go. So that's sort of why I was inspired to choose this recipe.
Absolutely. The batter already smells good and I've been licking it off my fingers and it tastes really good too. So as we all continue to make sure that our batter is prepped and ready to go, we're going to start the next segment of the video so that way we can stay on time here, and we're going to transfer the batter from our bowls to the tins. And so we'll watch how Jackie does that. And I think we're also going to make some salted almond ice frosting too. Ice cream on the brain.
Next, we're going to add it to a piping bag. This is optional, but it makes it a lot easier when you're using these cute trays to make things come out evenly. Okay. And we're gonna squeeze everything down. Classic pastry bag style. Twist it off here. And then we're ready to add it to our little molds here. It's buttered and floured. And then you just sort of bang the flour off before you're gonna add everything to it. And you're just gonna start adding it, is that cool? And you don't wanna go all the way up to the top because it is gonna rise quite a bit. And you can easily do this without a pastry bag. It's just a little messier, but it comes out just as good. Okay. All right, and that is going into the oven now. So now that the batter's in the mold, we're gonna take it and put it in our preheated oven at 350 degrees. Okay, so while the cakes are baking, we're gonna make the icing for it. You need some sifted powdered sugar, about a cup. We're gonna do like half a teaspoon of almond extract, and then a quarter to a half a cup, depending on how much sugar you use, of milk. You can also use lemon juice or water, really any sort of liquid works. And I'm just gonna heat this up for about 10 to 15 seconds. So now we're gonna mix everything together. Extract. And you can use any extract really, like lemon would be really tasty, or orange. You could even double up on the vanilla if you wish. Okay. And then we'll put this off to the side and we're good to go.
Okay, so this is all happening really fast. So for those of you following along at home, trying to keep up, just know that all of these videos are going to be put up on the website after today. We've got this whole Zoom meeting recorded, so if you need to go back and catch a step or need that recipe again, know that it will be posted on the website later today, so feel free to go back and look for it then. But I didn't have the same cute little tins that Jackie did, but I do have a normal bundt pan, so does that look okay? I think I'm struggling a little bit.
You can definitely do a large format.
Okay, well, I'm going to go stick this in the oven, but in the meantime, I'm wondering, since Anthony and Crystal, you run the Edenwild, which is the sweetest inn on Lopez, I'm wondering if you could give us some inside tips to visiting Lopez, what you tell your guests what they should do when visiting. I think people might be interested in knowing from locals what they should do.
Absolutely. Lopez is a very low-key island with a lot of amazing things to offer. You just have to kind of be adventurous and want to look for it. So biking is a must. If you're able to bike, it's a really fun thing to be doing, especially if you grab a map and we're able to map out some farm stands, flower stands. There's places to get seafood. You can get salmon, lamb, any of those really special farm-to-table ingredients we have up here. Kayaking, hiking. Jackie especially will map out all of the spots that you might be interested in checking out, whether it be Shark Reef for the sunset, or Spencer Spit for a picnic, maybe throw something on the fire pit there. And then we're just kind of like the home base in the middle of it all, where you can come, hang out, enjoy your room, have those special treats by Jackie, maybe a glass of local wine, and just hang out and watch the sunset. So we like to tailor things, but we have some favorites too that we share for our guests, so for sure.
Oh, I love that. Jackie, we've got a question for you coming in from the chat asking, is there a time or temperature difference for baking in a large bundt pan versus the small individual ones?
Yes, that's an awesome question. I would bake it for about 45 minutes to an hour. And if it's getting a little too toasty on top or too brown, you can just put foil over it and it'll work out great.
Okay, so for using a larger bundt pan, then we should cook it for a little bit longer. Same temperature, 350 still okay? Okay, all right, good to know. Since that's what I'm using, maybe I need some tinfoil on hand. That's a great example of using the chat function for any questions. So please keep them coming if you have them. But for now, we're going to fast forward in time a little bit to getting our cakes out of the oven and then the icing process. So we're going to move forward with that. And here we go. We'll see the finished product.
Okay. And once they're out of the oven, you're going to want to wait about 15 minutes before popping them out of the molds. So now we're going to pop the bundt cakes out of their pan, and they should just pop out really easily if you floured and buttered them, properly. And voila. So now we're gonna take our bundt cakes. After they've cooled approximately an hour, then you're able to ice it. If you ice it when they're hot, it's just gonna fall off. So now we get to ice our little bundt cakes. There are two methods you can use. We can either sort of Jackson Pollock it and do something like this, where you just drizzle it on and it looks really cute. Or we can take our little cakes and dip them. And then you just sort of let the icing flow over it. Okay. And those are our little bundt cakes. So we have iced our little bundt cakes. We're gonna transfer them over to our tray. And then you can add sort of anything you want to it, but I'm gonna add some blueberries today and just sort of plop them around. These are our vanilla pound cakes and they're made with a salted almond icing. And they're just a really great little breakfast treat to get you going for the day.
Jackie, those look so cute. Mine is a little bigger than yours, so I'm gonna have to maybe go the Jackson Pollock route with my icing. But they turned out so cute. We've got a question coming in the chat box about the recipe. Why is there no baking powder or baking soda in this recipe?
So the whole leavening comes from the eggs and beating up the butter, which is why it's so important to do that step properly. And it's a traditional pound cake, so that's sort of the way it was back in the day. There are recipes where you can add baking powder. Just be careful with that. Make sure you look into a recipe where you know the ratios, or else you'll have just a giant mess in the oven. That's not fun. So, yeah.
That's good to know. That's interesting too, because in the recipe that we all made on Monday night, we didn't have any butter. And that was a question that people had. Why was there no butter in the recipe? Well, it was because we were using heavy whipping cream instead, and that sort of acted as our butter. So that's good to know that not all recipes, you need that baking powder, baking soda based on the other ratio. It's interesting. I was wondering if you would share some of the other pastries or things that you make at the inn, just to kind of give us an idea for what we might experience when we visit the Edenwild.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of my other favorite recipes are a blueberry bar that we made. It's sort of like my play on a granola bar, and it's just a really tasty option to use like fresh fruit that you bake into it. It's sort of like a pie meets granola bar, one of my favorites. And then obviously we have a wonderful scone recipe with blueberries and rosemary from a bush outside of the inn. And there's cinnamon, our cinnamon rolls are morning rolls, and I add fruit to them. So we do a quince filling with it's just a nice warm, fall, delicious flavor. And it comes from a quince tree that we have right on the property here that we get to harvest every November. And cinnamon buns are also a go-to as well.
Those all sound so good. We have some questions coming in from the chat asking if you would share a little bit more about the Edenwild. We watched a little video at the beginning, kind of giving us an overview, but you both have such amazing stories on how you came to Lopez that I was hoping you might share a little bit of how you came to find the Edenwild.
We've known the Edenwild here for about 7 years, and we came to Lopez from upstate New York, and we wanted a simpler life for our children, and we certainly found it here. And it's been so wonderful to be able to run a family business where we are all part of the business itself and operate as a family. So that's how we that's the long and the short of our story getting here.
We are a little, sorry, Erin.
Oh, no, go ahead, Crystal.
We're a teeny 9-room inn, obviously family owned. You know, we offer just a really sweet spot to enjoy the islands, not just Lopez, but also Orcas and San Juan. And we like to connect with the people that come out and hear why they come to Lopez and what they're looking for, and just help people make some really nice memories.
And the Edenwild is in this perfect location if you are visiting Lopez. It's right in the middle of Fisherman Bay, looking out at Fisherman Bay, right in the middle of Lopez Village, with just some really beautiful views, and the whole village is walkable, which is really nice if you're visiting. And then the island as a whole is really easy to travel by bike, and explore all the nooks and crannies of Lopez. Growing up, we would always go to Spencer Spit State Park. That was always one of my favorite parts of Lopez, was visiting Spencer Spit. Just a beautiful beach with so much wildlife, and Lopez is truly a gem in the islands. So at this time, I'm going to invite anyone to turn on their cameras and their microphones. And if you have any questions for Anthony and Crystal or Jackie, please feel free to unmute yourselves and ask away. I guess JoJo can answer your questions too. I like that she's got a little whisk. She's ready. Well, if there are no further questions, we would love to see finished pictures of your cakes. If you would like to send them in, you can follow the Edenwild on Facebook and Instagram. They're just at the Edenwild. And then you can follow us, Visit San Juan's, at Visit San Juan's. Please send us pictures of your finished pound cakes, whether it's in a big bundt form or a little cake, or whatever your little creation came out to be. We would love to see that. And make sure that you do follow the Edenwild on social media to get up-to-date info about what's happening at the inn. If there are any further questions, feel free to ask them now or write them in the chat. Otherwise, we will say goodbye.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. And you too, Erin.
Of course, and thank you, Jackie, for doing this on a whim. This is our 13th Savor the San Juan, so we did not want to see this year pass by without some sort of fall activities. And even though we wish we could be doing this in person, we're so grateful for everyone being flexible and moving online. We are wondering, we've got a question from the chat asking if you have a website, and if so, what is your website?
We are www.theedenwild.com, no spaces, just together. And actually, we're fortunate enough to update our website during the pandemic. We had a little bit of time to do that. So it's a pretty sweet site, and you're able to get a real feel of what we offer, and what the inn looks like, and all of our COVID precautions as well. So we encourage people to check it out.
Great. So that's theedenwild.com, no spaces. Brand new website. That's been one of the high points of the quarantine, unfortunately, is having time to work on all these projects that we haven't been able to get to. So I'm excited to check out your new website. All right. Well, thank you all for joining us. We so appreciate seeing some familiar faces and some new faces here. Please visit visitsanjuans.com/savor for a list of future virtual events. On Friday, we will be making homemade pasta, hand-rolled homemade pasta with Coho Restaurant on San Juan Island. And then the following week, we have virtual film festivals on Orcas Island and Friday Harbor, where you can join from wherever you are. And then the final week of October, we have 3 different wine tastings, one on Lopez Island, Orcas, and San Juan. So we hope that you will join us for one of the upcoming virtual events. Hope to see you there. Okay. All right, bye everybody, have great days.
You too, take care.